Well, Dan Hawke is an ex-detective based in Folkestone. Something happens in his personal life. He leaves town and becomes a writer. Fast forward several years, he's on a book tour around the country, and it soon becomes evident that someone has become the most famous character he writes about and starts killing people in the towns that he's visiting.
It's a series of books, and where the main character is a guy with a pumpkin head. It's a murderer with a pumpkin head. It seems that somebody is making these books come to life, or the character Pumpkinhead come to life, and there's a series of nasty, brutal murders that Dan Hawke gets involved in investigating.
Right, this is actually the opening scene of the film, so it's scene one, and it's establishing a couple of the characters. This is actually leading up to the first murder in the story. This is one of the characters here, who's Charlie.
Yes, I will be killed later on at some point. I think my character's name is Victim.
That's it. No spoilers there.
Yeah, exactly.
Action.
pretty much something like that. It sounded about right.
That's me done.
Mate, I was just going to get rounding.
Well, I said I'd be home half an hour ago. You know how it is. I got an audition in the morning. See ya.
Charlie, let's be careful out there.
Who would want to hurt me?
Well, you never know, do you?
Take no notice, Charlie. Is there one too many shandies?
Hand shandy, more like.
Oi, well...
Pete, leave it.
Well, Sid's a landlord. He owns a pub. He's disabled. He's permanently in a wheelchair due to being injured in the Falklands War. So he's able as a landlord. He's very popular. He has his regulars in. Seems a nice, stable sort of guy.
Close, mate. We're finished. Off you go. You're barred.
Again?
Yeah, I'm on.
I was kind of a bit frustrated sort of last year. I'd just come off this low-budget feature film, which I think you know of, called The Blazing Cannons. I had a really great experience with a filmmaker called Mark Noyce, who I'd worked with. And after that, there was kind of nothing on the horizon. So I'd bumped into a friend of mine called Clayton. Him and his daughter then came up with kind of a rough sort of plot to this story. I went away. After 8 drafts, I came up with something I was really happy with. And then all of a sudden, I got a message from Steve Thomas, who I'd worked with quite a few years ago on a low-budget feature called Greetings. And he said, oh, what about this film? He said, can you send me the script? So I sent him the script. He liked it. And he said, look, if we can get this on the kind of sort of curriculum of the college, then not only can the students get experience of working on a sort of an indie sort of feature film, which is usually unheard of until they've left, really, and you get your film made too. So that's kind of how it happened.
We got a sneak. Yeah, we can maybe get this all in one.
Hi, I'm Luke G, a student of East Kent College, Folkestone, studying film and creative media production. I'm in the camera department for Dan Hawke's psychic detective feature film. So the biggest learning curve for me was lighting, believe it or not. The director, Steve, incorporated a lot of lighting setups into the shoots, especially in the interior scenes in the pubs and things like that. And that was really cool to work with the different tools and instruments that I'd never worked with before. So it was great to learn how to use those in an actual real-life film set. Yeah, so I definitely recommend the course to anyone who's looking to get into the film industry. The hands-on experience is amazing. You definitely wouldn't get anything like this in a classroom.
So you don't have to move your wheelchair.
I'm going to have to.
You don't have to move. You can do your dialogue from there.
Brakes on.
Because we don't see you, okay, until your line.
Yeah.
So and I can pick it up from this shot here.
So DC Reeves works alongside O'Neill until Dan Hawke, psychic detective, comes along and she ends up working alongside him, which she's actually quite excited about because she's a fan of his novels. And together they try and work out who the killer is and what is going on.
Dan Hawke, Mr. Pumpkinhead, coming to a bookshop near you.
Ben Shockley's a delight. He said he wrote this part with me in mind, which was very nice. And he's just a joy to work with. He's very open and kind and generous. We've had lots of meetings outside the space to be able to work on character and plot line. And he's just created a really nice crew and environment to work in.
We need a quick word.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good. Enjoying it. We've known each other for years, me and Joe. We've never filmed together, have we?
No.
Done a film together. This is our first one, so...
Done shows together
Yeah,
and
done
after
shows,
different speaking
haven't we?
events, but
Yeah.
never actually filmed together.
No, so it's
And
nice
I'm a
to-
massive fan.
Me too,
I'm very proud to say he's one of my closest friends
Me
as well.
me too, man.
You know.
Yeah, it's been good. Ben's been great. Crew's
I've
been
worked with
great.
Ben. I've worked with Ben.
Blazing Cannons.
Blazing
We
Cannons.
both worked on the same film, but not together, didn't we?
In the previous scene, I leave the room having a piece of toast, and I thought, well, let's continue it and have a bit of continuity. So I thought, I've saved this piece of toast in the freezer for 2 months, especially for today's shoot, and that's true. That's for your gin and tonic.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
It's actually just tonic.
Oh, very nice.
It's obviously the right glass. No. I specifically wrote it for a particular budget. Instead of going, oh, let's write something that there's no way we can make it for a small amount. So I was restricted in a way by locations was the main thing, but I wrote it as in when some people write, or when I write sometimes, I will write out of context, like when you make a movie. But I actually wrote Dan Hawke from page 1 to the end, and I didn't even know what was going to happen next. It was really odd. Once I got the basic plot, I let it come out of my pen or whatever. But the only one scene, and then I spoke to a friend of mine called Ian Diaz, who's a filmmaker, and he said, don't restrict yourself. So yeah, it was restricted, but I knew it was going to be restricted, so I didn't have casts of thousands or the Titanic or whatever. So I wrote specifically for the locations that I knew I could either get very easily or wouldn't cost anything.
We'll just do one more for Lloyd's, and then we'll cover another truck in the wheelchair, then we reverse. So reset, please. Beer.
When? Yeah. When? It's a 3D version. No, it's handy. Otherwise, it'd all be falling all over the place. Yeah.
If I had to describe the film in any way, it would be a light-hearted thriller with lots of shock, horror, and edge of the seat stuff. Quite a bit of action, and a lot of cheesiness as well in places, which makes it great fun for the family. Well, perhaps not all the family, most of them.
Let me know when you want filling up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sir. Now go away.
I'd call it a whodunit thriller with comedy. As Jerry was saying, there's sort of a few cheesy bits. There's a few kind of nods to the film industry, a few digs here and there, but in a very comedic way, not a serious sort of way.
Mate, I'm just going to get round in.
Yeah, well, I said I'd be home half an hour ago.
You can expect a bit of gore and a bit of horror, but it's also a bit of a thriller and a bit of dark comedy and a bit psychological. It's life imitating art in a psychological dark comedy police thriller.